I'm Rosalind Nyanongo, a licensed professional counselor and owner and founder and covenant crisis therapist at Living Water Family Therapy in Round Rock, Texas. And you are watching Living Water for Real Life, a podcast for women in covenant crisis and weary mamas, offering practical tools with a spiritual lens. So today we are going to talk about why living water for real life and what is a covenant crisis. So a covenant crisis is whenever you think that you're happily married, or you think, okay, well, things are going okay, but they're not terrible. And then all of a sudden you're smacked in the face with either an affair or betrayal, or just feeling like that your husband is just not as present as he once was. And that is what we call a covenant crisis. Whenever you felt like that you were doing all you can to try to make your marriage work, and it's just not working, and it seems like it's out of your control. So how can this podcast help? Well, this podcast offers practical tools to help you feel better. And it also offers a safe space where we can talk about things that would maybe feel scary to talk about in any other space. That's why this space is important. We know that as moms and as wives, we are the ones that get overlooked because we are taking care of other people, whether it be our husbands or our children, and nobody takes care of us. And so who's going to take care of us whenever we feel like that the walls are burning around us? That's the reason why it's important to be able to take a step back and be able to figure out what you need to be able to take care of you. So what do you do whenever you have a new baby and then you find out that your husband has been unfaithful? Or maybe even that, that you have this baby and he's not paying attention to you, and now you're doing it all by yourself. That's a very scary place to be. And, I have seen so many mamas who have been in that place. And, I'm going to tell you a story about a lady that I knew, one of my former clients. She had just had a baby, a beautiful baby girl. She and her husband had been together for about 2 years or so. And so she just had her baby, and she found out her husband was having an affair because she got a text from a woman saying, "Oh, I'm with your husband." And my client, she was just very upset, devastated, really. I mean, imagine thinking you're living this wonderful marriage, and then all of a sudden your house seems like it's being shattered, and what you thought was a brick wall has been nothing but stained glass. And she came to my office and she was broken, and she had this baby that was about 4 months old, and she did not know what to do because she relied on him financially, emotionally. She had no friends because she was in school. And I mean, it was just a very sad situation. And so basically what she needed at that moment was she needed someone to hear her out and to remind her who she is. And I told her, I said, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel alone. It's okay to feel like you're invalidated. And that does not mean that any of your feelings are wrong. Whenever you go through something as gut-wrenching as betrayal and infidelity, it tears you from your core, the inside out, so much so to where sometimes you get to a point to where you can't even pray, and you don't even want to talk to anybody because it just feels too risky. And what do you do with that? That's when you find a therapist who has been there, who understands, who is able to walk with you and be with you in your sadness, in your grief. Because not only are you grieving the husband that you once knew, that you thought was wonderful, but you're also grieving the life that you thought you had. This experience that you thought that you had while you were pregnant, the experience that you thought you were going to have for your future, because now the marriage relationship dynamics have changed, and it seems like it's tainted. But just because things have changed does not mean it's over. Whenever you get in with a really good covenant crisis therapist who understands betrayal trauma, not just from the perspective of the betrayed, which in this case was the woman, but also the one who did the betraying, you know, which was the husband, and y'all come in together and talk about these things in a way that's real and vulnerable, that's when real change can happen. And it's important not to wait too late, because sometimes waiting too late and doing therapy as a last resort, sometimes it doesn't work because it's already been broken and too much damage has been done. But that doesn't mean that if two people are willing to do the work, that it's irreparable. What it means is that there has to be a true call to action for the one who did the betraying, who has stepped out of the marriage, and truly have a change in heart posture, you know, and ask these hard questions. What does this mean for my marriage? What does this mean for my spouse? Ultimately, what does this mean for my kids? And ultimately, am I willing to make this change? And so whenever both partners are willing to step into that space and talk about things that are very difficult and confusing, then that's when real change can happen. And so going back to my story, whenever this couple came into my office, the husband did see what he had did and how bad it had hurt his wife and his daughter. And he did. He had a heart posture change, and God changed his heart. And we did some betrayal work, and then the couple is actually still together now, and they have another child. And none of this would not have been possible if it was not for God and the help of a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful therapist. I know that asking for help is hard. Exposing that you're not perfect is hard. Exposing that life is hard and not perfect, and we have this big shameful secret when everybody thinks that we're supposed to be wonderful and perfect, is devastating. And that's why it's important to get the right kind of help. So then we talk about, after you get the help, how do you take care of yourself while you're getting the help, while you're getting to the point to where you're getting yourself ready to even receive that help. It's self-care. You have to take care of yourself, even whenever it's hard, because, you know, whenever you're not feeling well, whenever you're feeling unseen, you don't want to take care of yourself. It's so important to do things to take care of your body and of your spirit. You are God's daughter, and he made you special, and he loves you, even whenever you feel like he's abandoned you. He's never abandoned you. And so I'm going to offer you a few self-care tips that you can use today, whether you're in covenant crisis or whether, or whether you just need a bit of a refresh, because we all need a refresh. We're going to talk about some deep breathing. So that is a great form of self-care. So taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And then just wiggling it out. Yeah, that was good. Another thing that we can do is what we like to call sensory grounding, where you use all 5 of your senses. You find 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. That helps to reorient yourself and to also reduce symptoms of anxiety. And ultimately just to release some tension, especially if you pair that with deep breathing, that's very helpful. And ultimately too, just like taking some time out for yourself, as women, we're very busy. We have husbands, we have kids, we have jobs, we have all these things that are demanding our attention. And so I encourage you, find a few minutes for yourself, whether it be going into the bedroom and closing the door for a few minutes, or even, the way your husband likes to lock himself in the bathroom. You can lock yourself in the bathroom for a few minutes, take your phone in there, take your Bible, take a book, or you can just sit in there and you can do absolutely nothing, because that's important too. It's important to have moments of silence whenever people are not asking things of us. That's very important. And so I just want to wrap us up with a verse for today. And the verse is Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you. Thank you so much for joining me for Living Water for Real Life, and I hope you have an absolutely blessed day. Thank you.